very good Monday morning. My name is Jay.
And my name is Matt.
And this is the Monday Morning Podcast with Matt and Jay.
Yes.
So, thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you.
You can dance if you want to.
I don't know what the line is. I don't know the song, man.
You can dance if you want to.
And if
you can leave your friends behind. But if your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance,
ain't no friends of mine.
We can dance if we want to.
You can leave your friends behind. Dancing. How do you not know this song?
I know the song. I'm just really bad with lyrics, man.
How are you? Okay, anyway.
That was a disappointment.
We are trying something completely new, so we apologize for any difficulties. Anyway, this is the Monday Morning Podcast with Matt and Jay.
It's
brand
Monday.
New. Revitalized everything. We've been gone for a while, and when we apologize that we have been gone, but now we're back, and we're always up for a lot of new things. And you know, I love doing this, being in the studio with Matthew.
Oh yeah, you love being in my presence here
I do.
in the studio.
I do believe that we need some really, really nice, entertaining music for this.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, this is just something.
Actually, this kind of fits in with when we just got into the studio and the whole fucking building smelled like farts and it was really warm and humid in here. Warm and humid in here.
This is the kind of vibes we're getting.
On a Monday morning, kill yourself.
So
the weeks ahead of you.
Basically, what we will be doing on this particular podcast, we always like to just discuss a couple of things here or there. I know the sexual music is really throwing you guys off, but this is what we do. Intimidating indeed. But we actually got a couple of we've been talking to local artists as well, so just kind of getting music from them. We will play those on the show here, so it's a mix of a podcast, talk show, everything like that. Trying to bring everything across. And yeah, I mean, something that we want to talk about first of all is one of the artists that we actually are going to play is Matthew.
Oh, that's
Matthew
me.
Simpson.
Oh, I had no expectations. I didn't know anything was going to happen. But yes, this is my song.
But not the song that's currently playing, but the one that's coming up.
I'll take it. I'll take it. It's probably more successful than my stuff anyway. So
anyway, just tell us a little bit about yourself, Matthew. What's your story?
My name is Matt Simpson. I'm a singer-songwriter and a video maker. And about 6 years ago, I bought a one-way ticket from Ireland. And now I live in Amsterdam. And I'm trying to make it in the big, sexy city, selling my shit.
It's always nice to have that.
And what about you, Jay? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a university student at the University of Applied Sciences here in Amsterdam. Business student, that is. But I love doing music. I love doing podcasts. Hence why we are in the studio now. But yeah, I mean, it's something that I've always been passionate about, and I feel like this is a craft that I can master in the future. And who knows, a lot of people who are listening at the moment will continue to listen, and who knows where this will take us.
Listen to you just completely outshone me. I'm like a poverty-stricken child compared to you with your explanation.
It's okay. It's okay. We accept everybody, even the long lost children of Northern Ireland.
This is like we're about to enter into some kind of like sensual orgy, like a swingers party.
Maybe we are, but no. Anyway, what we will quite quickly do is we're just gonna quickly fade away off from here. And as we said, Matthew just released his single.
Yes, I did. And
called Days Go By. And yeah, you guys can listen to it, give us some feedback, but this is basically him. It's a remix, so this is it. We'll be right back.
I don't believe a single word that you say to me. I know in my heart you're not an honest person. You're trying to drag us down, make us feel like you do. 'Cause you're so frustrated living in your pattern. Days go by and I just don't have the time. is gonna change my mind. I've been patient for too long now. I don't believe that things will ever gonna change if I keep being naive. You're trying to drag me down, make me feel like you do, but not this time. No, no. Life's too short to waste my life. Days go by, I just don't have the time to waste my life with the people who don't make me smile.
Who is that guy?
And that was Matthew Simpson with
Whoa.
Days Go By. I gotta say, I really love that song, man. It was really well done.
Oh, thank you very much.
And I hope every one of our listeners enjoyed that as well. And
Yeah.
if you haven't, follow this man on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. His name is Matthew Simpson.
Matt Simpson Sounds, if you want to find me.
Exactly, on Instagram. He's very active, a lot of funny videos, so definitely check him out. It's very good stuff. And
Why, thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. But some of the things that we kind of want to discuss as well is we're going to get into a couple of topics. And it's just, the kind of thing, what we want to do in this case is just kind of get this topic in hand. But what was your first job, Matthew?
My first job. Oh, I remember my first job. It was in a hotel. I was basically like a waiter. Well, I would call it like a drink slot. I remember working in this hotel, and it was my first day. I just needed the job because I wanted to go on a stag do to Prague with my brother. So I took this job in a hotel, and I got there on the first day, and they had a big tray full of drinks, and they were like, just deliver this to the room. It was for a wedding. Just deliver it to the room. They're like, yeah, it's table number 95 or whatever. And I walked in, saw like hundreds of people there, probably like 20 people, but I was freaking out. Anyway, so I walked in, and instead of putting it on the actual table, I just found a table, put it down, and ran out, and then just went and hid for the rest of the day. And that's the story of my life. What about you?
My first job was actually in a retail store. Retail, yeah. So it was a department store, so to speak. And I actually got this job because of my mom.
What?
And because she was a supervisor at the same department store. So as soon as I turned 16, I just kind of it was the very first job that I got. And me being 16 at that very time, this department store was mainly a department store for women. And I mean, you did have a section of men's area.
Oh yeah.
And that was one of the things that kind of pulled me into it as well, just because of the fact that, oh, well, a lot of nice looking girls are working here, so why not?
Yeah.
And especially like you being a teenager, a guy as well, you are just thinking, oh, I don't know how to talk to women. But at that particular time, you might as well try your luck. But
So let me get this straight. Let me just have a recap. So you took a job in a predominantly ladies wear shop because of the interesting and beautiful ladies that you were maybe too socially awkward to talk to, or
it's not that. I just needed a job, so to speak.
Of the
And that
benefit.
was the benefit that I did have
the
was
Christmas
just
bonus. Sorry.
that as well. But it's also, something that was really appealing to me is because my mom was working there already. So it was very easy for me to get a job there. And the side benefit was I was able to talk to a lot of the girls that were working there. Problem was there were many times where I was working there and my mom used to come around the corner seeing that I was talking to another girl. She's like, oh, you're talking to my son. I'm like, yes.
Get out of here, mama.
Mother, please. I'm trying to make progress
Yeah.
here with this female.
Yeah.
But most of the time, anything that would potentially happen, my mother would always intervene.
Yeah.
Or not purposely, but she was always looking out for me, so to speak. And which I don't mind. It's a motherly instinct, and in that sense, protect your bear cub. Protect your cub. Make sure he's safe.
How wild were you? Were you like fucking Grease Lightning or something?
No, I wasn't Grease Lightning.
Fonz. Ooh, yeah. Just standing on the fucking corner of the
Grease
shop.
Lightning, go Grease Lightning. No, but for me, it was just I was never really active in school. Like I was a very quiet kid, so to speak. And then because of that, what I ended up doing, I was like, it was an outlet for me to be in that retail store, talk to, kind of get out of your comfort zone, and it really helped as well. So it was just very something to do at that particular time. It's just like you met a lot of friends there, and some friendships kind of took another role on itself. And then after I think 3 years of that, I kind of left, but. That's basically what my first job was. I know I went into more detail than I should have, but it's something, you know, to me, that was kind of like not a turning point in my life, but it was my first job. It was with my mom, and it kind of made me who I am today.
Was it minimum wage?
It was minimum wage.
What was the minimum wage? How minimum was the minimum?
The minimum wage that I started at was like $6.50. So if you
What's that in euros?
It's basically like it's €6.50 if you convert it because of the inflation and whatever the economical terms that I don't want to get into because I'm a business student and I've already heard enough of that.
Was it a bouncy castle shop? I'm confused. I just hear inflation. So,
but yeah, it's something that I really enjoyed. The minimum wage, I mean, it was terrible, but at the same time, I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, it is what it is, man. But with those first jobs that you get, it kind of defines who you are, and because you work those shitty jobs, you really appreciate what you have now.
Yeah. But I actually don't get why is the system set up? I understand that if somebody's like 25, that maybe because they're a little bit older, they need to pay for their dog and their child and all this kind of stuff, that they need a little bit extra cash. But I don't really understand why we treat like 16-year-olds like shit. Like we basically give them nothing. Like there's like a little table, by the time you get to 21 you get an extra euro or something like this, but there's kids there that are actually like, these kids are coming in here and taking our jobs because they get paid fuck all. And then it's just, I feel bad every time I work somewhere and I see these kids struggling and they're getting paid like less than me.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, because I've also heard here in Europe or in Amsterdam, if there's a kid like working at 16 years old, 17, they get paid nothing. They get paid like €4 an hour or something like that.
Yeah, really, really, really bad.
And I just wonder sometimes, because I worked at a souvenir shop here, which you did as well. We worked there, and I remember there was one girl that worked with us, and she was making very little compared to us. Like we were making decent.
You're acting like we got like loads of cash, like, and she was just there.
No, but you know, there's sometimes we actually hire, or our boss, he hired somebody who was 16.
Yeah.
And then I found out how much he was making. Like he explained to me, the 16-year-old kid, how much he was actually making. Yeah. And I thought to myself, that is ridiculous that you're only making €4 or €5 an hour or something like that.
Yeah, it was basically, he wasn't even giving him any cash. He was just feeding him broccoli.
No.
Steamed broccoli.
And it's also something like to me, that was something absurd, because how are you supposed to survive on something like that? Like even at 16 years old, like in the United States, I made $6.50 an hour, and then you come here and it's like $2-3 less than that. How are you supposed to survive? Like, yeah, okay, it's just a side job, and because of the fact that sometimes you're living with your parents or whatever, but if you're not one of those few that is getting supported by your parents, and you're pretty much just out of luck.
Yeah, I think in Amsterdam as well. Like, I mean, Jesus, who actually lives in Amsterdam? I feel like like these kids, maybe they're living in some town way across. Like, because I can't imagine anybody living in the city center of Amsterdam. There are loads of people, of course, but like the prices are ridiculous. So this kid probably traveled from the arse end of nowhere, and then has to spend his money traveling back and forth.
But just like along the lines of what you have, it's also, you know, something that I kind of feel like with this particular topic and jobs in itself. So we talked about the first jobs, right?
Yeah.
We talked about your first job, but out of all the jobs that you've had, which one would you say was your worst job and why?
Oh God, this is such an easy sexual joke. So easy, man. Fuck, but I've had lots of really, really bad jobs. I've just done so I bought a one-way ticket and I just came here and I had just a backpack, and then eventually I had a guitar and all this kind of stuff. So I did a lot of shitty jobs. I worked in bars, did these like really long shifts with no breaks and all this kind of shit. I've actually just had a collection of gradually less shit jobs, but I think one of the worst was probably working illegally in this little Irish pub in a small village here in the Netherlands called Schiedam. And basically the woman was paying me black, as they say. And I was painting the wall. She was like, "Can you paint?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." I'd never fucking painted. I think I painted my bedroom before, so I had to paint the walls. And then I was basically a barman. She left me on the first night. She left me in the bar alone to manage the bar. And I only arrived in the Netherlands like 2 months before, so my Dutch really sucked. And I was just like, all these angry Dutch people coming in to play on the poker machines, screaming at me all this mad shit, and they could smoke in the bar. It was horrible. I was just standing there for hours. I couldn't take a piss, couldn't do nothing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was it. What about you?
And before I go into my worst job, where was this at?
Schiedam.
Schiedam.
Yeah, what a lovely name. I love the place names over here for foreigners.
Oh,
Schiedam.
Wow. Schiedam.
Schiedam.
Hey man, where are you from? Schiedam. Dude, I asked you where you're from, not
Don't spit
what
on
you're.
me.
Yeah, seriously, what's going on? No, but I mean, I think my worst job. Wow. That is something I would have to say. There was a retail store that I worked at in the United States briefly after this retail store that I just spoke about, and they were looking for people. I had no job whatsoever, so it was me coming back from university, coming back home. I had no job. So basically, long story short, I went to this particular place, found it on Craigslist, Craigslist is a very popular site in the United States, which has a lot of shady things on there. And there's a lot of stories about that as well that we can probably address later on. But there's also something called like a Craigslist killer, which I'll mention later, which is something completely yeah, I mean, that's something that we will talk about because that story in itself has to be talked about. But basically, my job was, it was a brand new store of just urban clothing. So urban clothing meaning like a lot of these oversized shirts, football jerseys, like American football jerseys.
Is that
and stuff like that.
Is that what classifies as urban?
Yeah,
sort of like
urban in the United States means like for a lot of, I don't want to.
So just like baggy clothing.
Yeah, baggy clothing.
Yeah.
So that's basically what it was. And I was the only white dude working at this particular store. Everybody else was black, African American, or from Cuba, from Mexico, from New York and whatnot. Not that being from New York is a race or whatever, but just to get the gist of like, because there's a social status quo in New York that even if you're Puerto Rican, Mexican or whatever, you're not, it's different than if you're living in Florida. But anyway, getting back to the topic at hand, I was working there for maybe 60, 70 hours a week. And it was just continuously, I was working nonstop. And then by the time the first paycheck had to come around, they were missing, I think, $400 or $500 off my paycheck.
Oh, shit.
And I had to pay my rent. And I told the guy, listen, I need my money and whatnot. And I was working like a slave. I was making minimum wage. And absolutely, he just completely screwed me over once I got my paycheck. And it took him like 2 more weeks to get my paycheck. And then by the time I finally got it, I almost got it. I almost got evicted from my house.
Whoa.
But that was probably the worst job. And that is something I just don't ever want to go into. And yeah, I mean, that's basically just in terms of the job, what our topic was on that. But what I just kind of like want to jump into is one of the next songs that we actually want to play is from another friend of mine. His name is Marc Dudon. Dudon is it's a French last name. His name is D Selecta, and as you said as well, it's kind of like a song that we pick out these kind of songs for our weekly podcast, and we want to make sure that everybody gets their not gets their airtime, but we want to make sure that their music gets out there because it's really amazing music. It's from artists that we know, it's artists that we are familiar with. We get in contact with them. And also, his artist name is D Selecta, and this is actually one of his newest tracks that we're about to be playing. And it's really nice because he's also coming in, he's coming in 2 weeks, and we will also have him in the studio on the podcast here, kind of discuss what it is. But anyway, we'll stop talking. Here's his song. It's called Yana. And that was D Selecta, also known as Mark Dudon, with the hit single Anyana. It just came out recently. If you haven't, please check it out on Spotify. It's a very good song, and he has a lot of other good songs as well. Be sure to check him out. But just to basically
awesome.
just wrap off onto the last topic that we had, if you yourself have actually had a topic, or like, what was your first job that you just absolutely hated or something like that? If you have one of those, just let us know.
Yeah.
Or even if you know of, as Matthew said, like any artists that you know of, please let us know, and we'll be more than happy to play them on our podcast.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Just send over something. I want to listen to it personally, and then put it on the show. We'll give you some credits, and whatever job that you had that made you want to scratch your eyes out, then send it over this way, and then we'll like to see your comments.
But yeah, I mean, the whole gist of it is Matthew and I come from pretty much completely two opposite sides of the world. Matthew is from Northern Ireland. I'm from Germany, which nobody ever believes me until I actually start speaking German, which is completely creepy to them.
9.
But yeah, it's one of the things I do love doing, and I spoke to a couple of artists as well from my hometown in the United States in St. Petersburg, is I told them as well, listen, if you have a track, send it to me.
Yeah.
I'll be more than happy to play, because what I want to do is I want to get that music out here, not just because, because I feel like you deserve airtime. It's also because the international aspect of it that I have.
Yeah.
Being able to play all of these songs in Amsterdam, it's amazing. You get a whole new following. You link it to their account, whatever, and you're able to give them a new audience, so to speak. You're providing that outlet to them, which is amazing. And that's also what I love doing. That's why in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have Marc Dudin, also known as D Selecta, within our podcast, going to talk about a couple of other things, what he's doing, what he's been up to, and everything like that. Because he also has a few shows coming up in Switzerland as well, which we will, all of this information that we're talking about, we will link it to our SoundCloud, to our Facebook, Instagram, and everything like that. So you guys have access to that, because, again, this is something we want to make really interactive and fun for everybody. So that's the whole reason why we're doing this podcast.
And it's super nice to give something back for a change. As a musician myself, it's really nice if somebody shares my stuff. I'm almost like a bit like in disbelief if somebody shares my song. I'm like, really? You liked my song? So I think it's just really amazing to be able to share some of your stuff. And there's loads and loads of good stuff out there that nobody really gets the chance to listen to. Well, they do, but they don't really get the chance to have any kind of promotion. So send it this way, please.
Send it our way. Send it our way. We're more than happy to play. But just to kind of round off on that last topic that I was talking about, there was something. We'll get into that quickly, because I want to kind of build up into that whole thing I was talking about, the Craigslist killer. I'm not joking. They actually made a movie about that as well.
Craigslist killer.
You know, in the UK or in Northern Ireland, you have these TVs like ITV or whatever, and like Irish television.
Oh, yeah. The channels,
you have these documentaries of like, this is when this person, like they do these, not documentaries, but these are like these really shitty produced movies, like these television movies.
Oh, so it's like a look back. It's not like it's like a reenactment kind of thing. Like it's
exactly.
a documentary with bad acting.
Yeah, it's like it's a reenactment with really terrible acting, but you yourself, you just cannot look away, because the story in itself is so intriguing, and the person who's narrating the story, you're just so drawn to it. They're like, oh, and Katie went out to get her trash, and then all of a sudden, Craig came up from behind her and stabbed her in the neck.
Yeah. Actually, I'm a sucker for some of these things. I've watched so many documentaries. There's loads of these American ones as well, where it's all like people like The Neighbor from Hell, this kind of stuff. Yeah, so Craigslist killer.
Yeah, there was actually it was funny, because like this guy, this Craigslist killer, it's really weird. So he would put up, as far as I remember, he would put up these advertisements on Craigslist. And again, I may be wrong. If I am, I apologize. It's been a few years since this has happened, but basically,
since you did it.
Basically, what happened was he basically put up these ads on Craigslist, and most of these were like erotic services and whatnot. So basically, this platform, if you're not familiar with Craigslist or what it is, it's basically a website such as Marktplaats that you have in the Netherlands, where you can put up your advertisement for whatever it is that you're selling. And then you agree to meet in a place, exchange the goods and services, whatever you guys have agreed upon, and then you go on with your business. What this guy did, he basically placed up an advertisement for these erotic services and stuff like that.
What kind of erotic services?
Well, I'm not entirely sure what it was, but it was something like sexual advertising. Because the thing is, on Craigslist as well, what you can do is, if you're looking for somebody, like if you're looking for a date or whatever like that, you can post stuff like that on Craigslist as well.
It's like everything. So
you have everything on there.
I'm a candle maker and I want to find candles.
Yeah,
like anything.
So basically what it was as well, it's just this guy, he put up all these advertisements and he would lure these women in, and then basically at the end of it, like sexual advances or whatever that he made, he killed these women.
How many?
I'm not entirely sure, but there was. I'm not
It's funny that I didn't like get all like, oh my god, that's crazy. I was just like, how many? Statistically, how many women did he kill?
There was several. I'm not entirely sure of the number.
How did he get away with it?
But,
Like-
well, he didn't get he got away with it for a while because he hid the bodies in
pesky
other
kids.
locations. But at the end of it, what he did is because he knew there was a time where he was being close to being caught, and basically what had happened was he committed suicide, so he wasn't getting caught for any of these crimes.
Wow.
But and then hence that's why he got the infamous name, the Craigslist Killer.
The Craigslist Killer.
So it's one of those things. Ever since then, they've been very strict on people putting up these advertisements on Craigslist and stuff like that to basically say, hey, listen, if you're putting up anything like that, like if you're looking for a date, if you're looking for a companion,
Yeah.
an escort, whatever it is, then please do it at your own risk.
Yeah.
Do it within your own consent.
That's so weird. Do you ever see in the shop, you know, the way in the shop over here, it's Albert Heijn, it's kind of like the main shop that you see everywhere, but do you ever see in the shop there's like these notes that people they get from the people who work in the shop, then they put them up on this notice board and they're like, hey, I'm a house cleaner and I charge this amount. I've seen sometimes these guys putting up stuff like lonely old man looking for company. And you're just like, what the fuck? He just took this from them and then put it up, and then like I guess they don't really monitor that very well.
No, it's one of those things. Like, I'm very skeptical of anything that's being posted online, or even like nowadays,
anything.
as we were talking about earlier as well, like with the whole social media frenzy that's going on, you have to be very careful about what it is that's going on nowadays, because even when you're posting up stuff like this for the podcast and stuff like that, you have many people trying to say, hey, give me a message. We can figure out a way to get you more followers or whatever. Just send me your email or whatever it may be. And you really have to be aware of what you're doing. And I'm sure you've had that as well. And
I get this nonstop, man. I get this all the time. Like, I get these people, because I don't know why, but my name, Matt Simpson, is somehow popular in the world somehow, because I get a lot of messages to my music account of people just like sending stuff. Like, somebody sent me a message not that long ago just being like, yo, tell him to shut the fuck up or I'll hit him in the face or something like this. And I was like, I think you got the wrong Matt Simpson. And then on top of that, I get loads of people just like saying like, you want to get millions of views and plays? Then give us your credit card details. It's non-stop, man. But as a musician,
it's just, and as you said, as a musician as well. And this is one of the things that one of my friends, actually, Mark, who we just played, D Selecta, he actually got a message like that as well. He got a message saying, hey, listen, I hear you got all these views or whatever listens on your album. Hey, just send me a message. We can get together. We can give you like 9,000 additional followers if you pay us like 10 euros or something like that. And I'm thinking to myself, and this is something that Mark, he posted up on Facebook because he wanted every musician to look at this. Yeah. Because this is just ridiculous. Once you're actually starting to take off as a musician yourself, you won't believe how many people are starting to really start talking to you again. Like all these different people that you haven't talked to in years, all of a sudden now that you have some kind of social status or anything like that they believe can blow up at any time, they want to get in contact with you, say, hey man, remember me? We had lunch together in the 3rd grade and I gave you a cookie. Can you invite me to the next event?
I used to watch you from across the room and I used to dream about a day. Yeah, I had this, actually I really had a moment where I saw this guy. I had this message, it was like I think it was from Chicago radio. Yeah. And it said like, oh, we really like your song, but you look at the comment that they sent to me, so they're like, okay, this was an old song of mine, so they're like, okay, we really like your song, and then it just names the song, but the whole song in a kind of like in a kind of like obvious way that it's like a robot. So they've just copied and pasted the title of the song. So they're like, hello, we really like your song, Days Go By Matt Simpson. I'm like, it's not by Matt Simpson, that's not in the title. But anyway, so like I knew it was this bullshit thing, but you get your hopes up because you're out there and nobody's like listening to your shit. So you're like, okay, maybe somebody wants to play my stuff. So anyway, I clicked on it, I did a bit of research and I was like, oh fuck, this is obviously a virus. Then I see a musician friend of mine and he's just over the moon, like totally like just sending it all over the place, being like, look, they picked my song. He got the same link as me, and I had to like privately message him and sort of destroy his dreams. It was horrible. It was kind of like, yeah, man, this is a robot. So yeah, there's a lot of bullshit going on out there.
There is, and you really do have to be careful. But also, now we kind of moved along the lines of the topic of bullshit, but Have you ever had have you ever had like somebody who just doesn't have a sense of humor?
Yes. Silence, just pure silence. I don't really trust anybody that doesn't have a sense of humor. It sounds weird, like, but for me, humor is a sign of intelligence. If like you don't always have to be laughing all the time and all this kind of shit, but like if you don't have any kind of humor, it's just you're dry as fuck.
Yeah.
And I just don't trust you. There's a lot of people like, I'll sit down, I watch TV, I watch, Holland's Got Talent, but I don't laugh. Or when they do laugh, they laugh about really stupid shit like the man fell, like fail compilation videos.
That's also something you can kind of tell with a lot of people nowadays is when they're fake laughing or legitimately like laughing at your jokes or anything like that.
Funny. LOL. Or
it's hilarious. I can't stop laughing on the inside.
Like when you're typing a message and you're like writing like haha a million times and you're sitting there with a serious look on your face, and that you just got that creepy kind of glow coming back from your phone, so your face is kind of blue and you're in the dark and you're only wearing underwear. You're like ha 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 ha, hilarious.
Or just typing LMAO. But at the same time, I always wondered about that particular abbreviation. How does one laugh his ass off?
I think that would be something that would require medical attention immediately if you laugh your ass off.
I just had Taco Bell. I can't stop laughing. My ass is falling off.
Like
all
a
this
rocket.
tacos.
Yeah, that's fucking insane, man. That is really, really insane. But the big one that you see all the time is just like LOL, but like capital LOL everywhere. And I don't think people are actually laughing out loud ever.
No.
I think laughing out loud has become something where you're actually laughing on the inside, or you're just using like a social kind of like, like how monkeys kind of groom each other. You're kind of like LOL, LOL, LOL. Does that feel good on your back? LOL, LOL. Let's be friends. But you're not laughing.
No. I mean, the thing is as well with the particular thing is everybody uses these. I don't know. Me personally, I don't like texting. For example, when you and we talk or whatever, I prefer to have a phone conversation. I don't like this texting stuff because you can never get your point across and you never know what the other person is really thinking. Now, I understand that everybody has their whatever tendency to do something like that, but even my family and I, we never text. We either do phone messages or something like that. Even my mom now, I haven't seen her in 2 years. We messaged like maybe 10 times since the last 2 years. And she's actually in town, and it's something like we're talking about all these different things and stuff like that. But it's if you have that, if you save up that much information, you have a lot of stuff to talk about. And that's what I enjoy. I don't like to send all these different messages to people and say, hey, listen, this is my life story. And a lot of people always say to me, hey, man, why don't you ever text me, whatever? And I tell them, listen,
I prefer to bottle it up and then scream it down the phone for 5 hours.
I'm German. That's what I do. I still have those tendencies.
I have to be honest, man. Like it's a really antisocial reality, especially my reality. Like I like to be social, talk to loads of people and all this kind of shit and have a laugh. But at the same time, you're like one of the only people, like, if you ring me, I'll just pick up straight away because I'm like, it's Julian. But like, say if I see a number that I don't know, I'm like, what could it be? or if somebody's knocking at the door, like that's the reality we all live in. So it's kind of good because you're still living in that reality where you're calling people. Because I'm texting like fucking crazy, like these long conversations, and I don't know, it drives me mad. I get really frustrated, like swiping. And yeah.
No, but I mean, that's something we'll move into later. It's also like annoying mannerisms and stuff like that. And also what I kind of want to discuss to round off the podcast is the greatest nation on earth idea that we kind of mentioned earlier. Yeah, we'll kind of it's not a political discussion or anything like that, but we'll kind of briefly go into that.
That's one of my pet peeves, to be honest.
Just briefly say what is that pet peeve?
The pet peeve of the greatest nation on earth. It's the idea that not one single nation, but there might be a nation out there that seems to say it a lot. That is they're like, we're the greatest nation on earth. It's like, Jesus, wipe your own ass. Anyway, that's basically it.
This upcoming song that we will play is from another guy that I know from St. Petersburg, Florida. His name is Jariah Higgins, and this particular song is off his brand new EP. It's called Cupid. I gotta say, amazing voice.
Yeah, what a voice.
And Matthew and I, we've listened to it, and definitely, if you haven't, please check him out. After the song, we'll be right back to round off this podcast. So thank you guys. We really appreciate you listening, but here he is.
No time to sleep. The love that I give wasn't nothing for me.
and arrows that pierce chambers of hearts. Open your eyes, show who you truly are. Love gets the praise, love takes the blame. Build you up or tears you down, and it goes beyond the grave. I won't give up, I won't lay it down. I will search, hope, and wait for you till you are found. When I'll draw my last arrow. Steady is my aim, every shot I take, it's all on the line, and so much is at stake. Hope is a dream, so don't let it wither. Things you long for remain in my quiver, and love gets the praise, and love takes the blame. Build you up or chase you down, and goes beyond the grave. And I won't give up, I won't lay it all down. I will search, hope, and wait for you until you are found. Baby, love gets the praise, love takes the blame. Then it builds you up and I will tear you down, and it goes beyond the grave. And I won't give up, and I won't lay it down. I will search, hope, and wait for you until you are found. That's when I'll draw my last arrow. That's when I'll draw my last arrow. That's when I'll draw my last arrow.
And that was Jariah Higgins with the song Cupid. Definitely, if you have not checked him out, please do so on Spotify. His songs are on there. Every one of these artists that we play are on Spotify, including Matt Simpson that we mentioned in the very first song, D Selecta, Jariah Higgins, and then at the very end, we'll play another local artist from my hometown of St. Petersburg, Florida. St. Petersburg. But basically, now we're just going to round off into the last couple of things that we just want to talk about. And then next week, Monday, that's when we will release our new podcast. And in the meantime, if you have any questions, if you have any thoughts, please give us feedback. More than welcome to.
Thoughts are welcome.
And now that we have the topic that we wanted to discuss on, yay, political aspects of everything, and basically just what is that whole nation effect again? That great nation.
This is not. It doesn't really annoy me that much, but I just feel like maybe it's like one of these things that you have. Like I think that people from the United States must think sometimes that people from Europe are like kind of being all snobby, like when they criticize anything about the United States, they're like, oh, fucking bunch of snobs. No, this is just one of these things. Like I hate when people get overly patriotic, like when they're really like as if there's no other country in the world where they're really like, we are the greatest nation on earth. It's like, how do you define that? Is that purely based on wealth, or is it based on your ideals? Or
well, I think it's also, as you said, and apologies for interrupting you, but it's one of those things, like as you said, everybody thinks they live in the greatest nation in the world, and especially the United States. They always believe that they are the greatest nation. And I lived in the United States, and it was very I enjoyed living there. I'm not saying anything bad about it, and I'm not saying anything bad about patriotism. but also you yourself, you cannot say that you're the greatest nation in the world if you haven't lived in another nation.
Yeah, it's true.
How
it's
do
also,
you? Yeah, no, go ahead.
No, it's also just like it depends on, it's just like situational. It depends on where you are. I mean, at the end of the day, you still have to use a toilet. You still have to take a shit somewhere. So it doesn't matter whether it's a golden toilet or just a regular toilet. I mean, you can have the best, like for us, for example, us living in the Netherlands, we could have a terrible time or a good time.
Yeah.
It just depends. Like some people come here and they have a terrible time, but a lot of people have a great time. So
Speaking of toilets, I know it's a really random thing to say, but what the hell is it up with the Netherlands and their weird ass toilet? Like,
I love it.
Okay, anybody who's listening and is not familiar with the toilet structure of the Netherlands, basically for me being American, when you're taking a doo-doo, it goes directly into the water. Here, it just, they have like, it's
like a rocket.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a little placeholder where your poop just goes onto, and then it just like, it stays there.
It's a shelf. It's the shit shelf. It's basically there because I think actually I used to ask a lot of questions about this because obviously it's a deep interest of mine. No, apparently that they have a lot of people getting who, like with the early diagnosis of like bowel cancer, they get treatment really quick because they can see straight away from looking at their shit. Like I mean, so it's kind of handy in that way. But yeah, it's a bit weird when like you take a shit and then there's like it's almost like a little butler holding the shit there being like, inspect me. This is what you had a couple of days ago.
This is what your poo looks like. Anyway, I think we should move away from that because I think we might be losing listeners at this point of the podcast. Anyway,
it's like a woman's breakfast like channel or something. They're like,
what?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know. Like, you know, these topical shows. If you've ever been unemployed for a while, and there's these shows where it's like a group of women sitting around. They're like, let's talk about stool because you shouldn't be afraid to talk about stool.
So today I went to Starbucks, like,
and I had
my name is Tracy, and they said Tracy with an I. I'm like, no, bitch, that's with a Y.
And I was like, yeah.
But funny enough, like that particular accent, I did that to a friend of mine the other day because they're really. The thing is, I have the status quo of being an American at my university.
Yeah.
So our classes are fairly small, and I have a very American accent, so to speak, but not to the point where many people would say I have that.
Not the annoying American.
Yeah,
The one that people associate like, oh my god.
Yeah, but there was somebody who I was talking to, also from the United States, telling me all this different stuff, such as, oh my god, so last week, Brittany and Thomas broke up after 8 years, and I'm like, oh my god, how could they? They've been together for such a long time. But it's... Anyway, that's just one of those things.
I think that you should go for more of a deep Southern accent. I would love for you to just finish off this podcast with a deep Southern accent.
I'm from Tennessee. And you're the only Tennessee.
I just get the whole like potato thing. People are like, oh, he's Irish, and I don't even know. I got a butchered accent because when I came over here, at first I would be like giving people their change when I would be working in a bar or something like that, and I'd be like, so that's $4.80, and they'd be like, what did you say? I'd be like, $4.80, and then after a while I had to change it to like $4.80.
$4.80. Yeah. But the thing is as well, like what I want to do is to round off the podcast, kind of have like a little fun section. I would say between you and I, we're gonna have a little challenge here. So this is a challenge that we're doing. Yes.
I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, it's a random thing that we're doing now. Is okay. How many different accents can you do in terms? Zero. Okay.
How many accents can I do without offending people? 0. But how many accents can I try? Probably about 4 or 5.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's hear these accents.
Well, some of these accents you wouldn't even know. Like from my town anyway. Like people talk sort of like just really about pointless shit. Like say if I go home and I listen to people like they get on a bus or something, they're like, "Sure, hey, I was out last week and sure I saw your one. He was looking at me and I was looking at him and we were walking around and it was raining and I was like, oh Jesus Christ!" They're like, you're not talking about anything. You're literally not saying anything. You're just making grunting noises. Apart from that, I mean, I could go through the whole Irish thing, the whole Irish accents, but it's really bad. Like for my own country, I can't even do like the proper Irish accent. You know, like when people meet me, they go like, "Oh, so where are you from?" Some people even think I'm Canadian for some reason. So they go, "So where are you from?" I say Ireland, and they're like, but you don't have the nice Irish accent.
It's like a disappointing.
Like, what do you want me to be? Like fucking potato, 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 and rainbows. Like
look at the Irish.
apart from that, I can probably do a couple of bad American accents. Like, oh my god, like where the fuck are the keys? That was pretty messed up, actually.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, American accent, that's one. All right,
I think that
Irish accent, that's two.
Yeah, okay.
Any Eastern European? No,
I can't do. I could try, but it would just be totally offensive. Like, the podcast. No, I can't do it. I feel like I just sound like Mr. Bean or something, just like excreting words.
It's when you grow up with all these different cultures as well. Like you have family from everywhere. Like me particularly, I have family from almost everywhere.
Yeah.
So also, I love making fun of some of my family members when they're talking, and they think it's funny, but I think also on the inside they're like, I want to stab him. I want to stab him repeatedly in the eye. But it's just, French accents, Italian accents.
Hey, all this talk about you fucking saying that you can do all these accents, but I haven't heard one single accent.
Oh putain, why don't you give me a little cigarette? I am a Frenchman.
Little cigarette?
Don't you know that it is very offensive? Paris, oui.
Okay. I'll give
And
you
a
that.
lot of people say in France that we do not speak English. But this is what we do. We are French people. French is the main language. It will always triumph.
That's actually. Did you say, and that will always trifle.
It is the triumph language. Without France, Europe is nothing.
I will take that. That's pretty good, man.
Okay, so that's the French
That's
accent.
number one. Now
Number one. Number two.
I'm taking a list
Now.
here.
We let's go with the Russian accent.
Oh fuck, man.
Mr. Yes, Vladimir here. This is what I do. You come into my country. No problem. You don't get water. You get vodka and a bunch of cigarettes. Yes.
No, be careful not to racially stereotype or to stereotype. It's like I'm just doing an accent here. I like croissants. Or the Russian people is like, I will kill your people. It's like, hey man,
Hey
no, we're
you.
just doing
I
accents
kill
here.
your children. Yes.
Oh, but
Everyone.
you love a good Irish accent. I hear you many times I mean perfectly executing an Irish accent.
Hey, the perfectly executed Irish accent doesn't really happen here. Well, it's just a couple of things here or there that you just pick up a few here. And then after a few times, it just turns into a Scottish accent from the Highlands.
It actually sounded like every fucking leprechaun from every fucking American film where the Americans are playing the Irish turned in at the end to Northern Irish somehow, because the Northern Irish, like, there's loads of accents within Ireland and all over like the UK and stuff, like different regional accents, but the Northern Irish accent has a lot of influence from Scotland because of the settlers, so like you kind of went up to that Northern Irish, like, well, fucking hell, what are you doing here? Get out of the house, hey.
It's just funny because, like, okay, so now we got the numbers. Okay, we have Scottish, somewhat Irish, Russian, French.
Yeah, and there was another one. But I guess does it count like because
Here's another one from Mexico. Hola, ese. Don't you know that I'm loco? Hey, ese, what are you doing over here, man? Hey, these are my pesos. I got my lowrider. I got so many wheels on those. Ese, don't you know? Me and my hombres, we're gonna go to your house tonight. Ese, gonna have a fiesta.
And that was Cypress Hill with Hits from the Bong. That was just based on every fucking Cypress Hill song you listen to.
Insane in the membrane.
Have you even met a Mexican?
I live with them.
Yeah.
They're my family.
Silent.
La familia, amigos. La familia. Uno, dos, tres, cuatro.
And then the song comes on. No, but like regional accents within the United States, because there's probably, I mean, like if from all the shit I've ever watched, I've probably only heard about 5-6 accents, and they all split off into like different groups. But it's not like, maybe not like in Ireland or in the UK where like there's like every town that you can go to will have like pretty weird accent based on that. But
as you said, in the United States, we have all these different accents. Like if you go up to the north, such as New York, you have one accent. If you go to the Midwest, like up north in Minnesota or something like that, you still have a completely different accent than if you were to go in the South or California for some reason.
Yeah, but it's not like maybe within small distances there's loads of different accents. It would be more like people say, a lot of people say that there's like 4 or 5 like main accents, and then there's like small kind of breakaway versions of that, but it's not like not dramatically different, is it? Or
Well, I mean, if you go to smaller towns in the United States, as you said, like you have the city accent and then you have the country accent, which the country accent is something which you said is more of the southern accent of the United States. So you go up into a small town, and I gotta say, if you go to any small town in the United States, it's amazing. Everybody's friendly there. Everybody's really, if they see an outsider there, they're very happy to welcome you into their town, explain to you about the history, which can be a good thing and a bad thing because it takes up a lot of time. You're like, oh yeah, back in the 1950s.
This is like my dad. Like when I was younger, my dad would go into a shop. And you would just be walking along and be like, I'm just popping in for a couple of minutes here. We're just gonna get a newspaper and some candy or whatever. He wouldn't say candy, but sweets. But anyway, like he'd be walking along and then he'd just bump into somebody and then they'd be talking for like an hour. And in child minutes, that's like 7 years. So you're like, oh god damn it, man, hurry up. So every little small town, people are just like, so I can tell you some history about my town.
Back in the 1950s, we had a football team of predominantly white people and no black people because back then it was segregation.
And they all had legs because there were none of those fancy men with the no legs. I don't know.
That was the last time we won a championship, but since then we ain't done nothing.
Jesus
is the way.
Just throw Jesus in.
Anyway, but it's just basically that's pretty much what it is. But just rounding off, I would say we can conclude our podcast on that particular topic.
Yeah.
So, again, thank you very much to everyone that was listening.
Yes.
We really appreciate it. Again, the next song that we're going to be playing is by another friend of mine. His name is Dana, but his artist name is DeBron Kane. And this is Dominicana. It has a lot of good basically plays on there over the last couple of weeks or so, but it's something that you really have to check out. Gonna play it now, fade into it, but again, my name is Jay.
And my name is Matt.
And thank you very much for listening to the Monday Morning Podcast with Matt and Jay. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Girl, the finest, and that's not a lie. She's so fine, I work her like a 9 to 5. She's so fine, I probably make her mama mine. Cause giving birth to her is a phenomenon. She run through my mind just like a marathon. If females are diamonds, she the rarest kind. If it's cuffing season, ain't no better time. Cause her last name sound better when she sharing mine. She'll share your moisture for them tight girls, yeah. I'm a sucker for them girls with tight girls, yeah. Cocoa brown skin, that's my type, girl, yeah. And that apple bottom looking bright, girl. Baby, bad and bougie, so I played Amigos. She said she like that sweet talk. I played her Despacito. Dope es cocaína, blow her like a kilo. She command attention everywhere that she go. She my brown sugar like Sanaa Lathan. She melt on my tongue, I call her now later. I go on my way, she calling now later. Begging me to come back and annihilate her. Let's take a trip to DR, hit up Punta Cana. Borrachos de mamajuana en la playa. Sin lamentos despertando en la mañana. And serve you breakfast after me como tu gata. We be living the life. Your peach look juicy, I'ma give it a bite. You playing hard to get it, I'ma give it a night. Before you bring me to the crib and start hitting the lights. Bust, when I give you the pipe. We can take a little break and then I'm hitting it twice. You wanna settle with you, then I'ma give you the ice. Little mama, cause I'm too nice. That's right. Baby, bad and bougie. So I played Amigos. She said she like that sweet talk. I played her Despacito. Dope es cocaína. Blow her like a kilo. She command attention everywhere that she go. She said she like that sweet talk.